Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sheep Get Sheared podcast, home of people, politics, and popular culture. I'm your host, Austin Creed. I want to welcome you into the show. My friends, we're going to revisit a topic that I wrote a whole book about. Well, it's not the entire book, but Biblical Bachelor. I wrote about relationships, wrote about the journey for the average man, what he should do, according to my philosophy. I offer an alternative. I come to you today presenting an alternative because let's ask a very poignant but controversial question. Is marriage necessary for the modern man? Well, before I answer that, because my opinion may not mean very much to you, here's what we're going to do instead. I'm going to present to you numbers, data, and I'll let you make the choice. I'm not in the business of telling people what to do. I am in the business of giving people information, asking questions, and wanting you to decide what you want to do with your life. That is my goal. That is my purpose. That is what I like to do. So, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to show you, first thing I wanted to show. Let's go right here, okay? Hold on. Where do I want to start? Let's start... Okay, no. Let's start right here, okay? So, a lot of marriages end in divorce. Normie statistics will tell you 50%. Numbers closer to 70. And 80% of those divorce filings are initiated by women. Why would I say that? Well, here you go. Child support statistics. A lot of women, not all, but a lot of them use child support as basically like a side business or a side hustle. Why would I say that? Well, the data right here says 84% of child support providers are men. So right out the gate, right there, you're welcome. That's why I would say that. Number two, 60% of child supporters provide for a single child, 30% for support 2 children, and then 10% support 3 or more. I've shown this data on the show before. However, I want to tie it in a little more directly to an entire different topic because, it's really easy to just, it's really easy to get on here and just bash marriage. Marriage no good. Marriage is bad. You shouldn't get married, blah, blah, blah. Or say the opposite of just roll the dice, get married today. Just go for it, find the right one, and it's a slam dunk. Well, I'm not going to take either one of those positions. Do I personally recommend you get married today? No, I wouldn't recommend it. Does that mean that it can't work for you? No. But I am here to present an alternative that you might want to take into consideration. To answer the question, is marriage necessary in the modern world or to the modern male subsection of society? And so let's return back to this data. Almost 50% of people who make child support payments are younger than 40. This right here, this shows that most men have zero salami control. Zero. Because this is a horrible number. Horrible. This is a abysmal number. And it's even worse when you get down here and says men pay a median of $36,000 annually to support their children, while women pay a median of $2,400. Most women don't pay child support. The only time they do is if they're usually a celebrity or a CEO of something and they're make significantly more money than the husband. Okay. But the reason why I'm disgusted by this number is because it sounds disingenuous. Like, oh, only $3,600 in a year, so what? Not a big deal, right? Well, it becomes a really big deal when you think about it. Okay, so the kid's what? 0? Let's say kid's 5, okay, when the divorce happens, right? Well, you're probably paying this for 13 years. So multiply this by 13, and if you live in Hawaii, up to 23, and I think New York is 21. So you multiply this by 13, 15, 17 years. Number ain't so small anymore, is it? Suddenly it's up to about almost 50K, if not more than 50K. Suddenly? Yeah, that's a lot of money, right? That's almost what most people make in a year. Year's worth of pay out the window. And that's just if you're the average, much less whether you're above that. That's going to really hurt you. Plus, we're not even taking in the emotional garbage, the court filings, the all the alimony if you pay it, all that good stuff, man. We ain't even getting to that point yet. But my friends, this is what I'm talking about. It's this kind of information right here that most people, they don't think about when it comes to marriage because, I mean, let's be honest. Who walks into their marriage saying, oh yes, I know I'm going to be a statistic. I know for a fact that my marriage is going to fail. Nobody does that. Nobody walks in and says, oh yeah, man, I'm totally about to be a statistic. Oh yes, I am for sure going to be a statistic. And nobody does that. And I wouldn't expect them to. Everybody has to walk in saying they're going to be the exception. And that's not just with marriage. That's with life in general. You don't walk in and say, yeah, man, I'm totally going to stick with the status quo. Oh, yeah, man, I'm totally going to just do what everybody else has done before me. Nobody does that. Nobody does that, man. And if they did, they're not going to actually go through with it. That's my whole point. But you know, I could just sit here and do what a lot of people do, which is just bash marriage and say don't get married. Well, I wouldn't recommend it, no, but here's what I do recommend if you want to listen to my advice, which you don't have to, but you can. Here's what I would say. What's the alternative? Well, we talked about child support. Before I give you the alternative, let's explore something else, shall we? So again, this is not legal advice, okay? Just in case you want to try to sue me, don't do it. Let's see. Oh, here we go. They said the average divorce is $17,500 in California. National average about $15,000. Doesn't sound that bad, right? Well, that's disingenuous because then when you go through the whole family court system, you get brought to court for child support, arrearments, all that good stuff, the number gets higher. In fact, right here it says the cost of divorce can range from $435 of the filing fee to hundreds of thousands of dollars. Oh boy. So let me ask you something. Let's just say, hypothetically, okay? Let's play some devil's advocate here. Let's say, for example, you are one of the unlucky few who pay hundreds of thousands of dollars in child support and divorce court and everything else, right? Well, what would you do instead? Well, I would like to present to you an alternative option. And I wrote a lot about, what chapter? Let me look. What chapter in my book did I write about surrogacy? I wrote an entire chapter on it. Oh, where is it? Oh yes, right here. Chapter 8, Biology and Babies. Wrote a whole chapter about it. Now, here we go. Look at this. So, look at that. $100,000, $250,000. So in other words, instead of paying for all that money at divorce and child support and all this, you could have spent it on this and cut out the lowest common denominator. The lowest common denominator being, statistically speaking, your ex-wife. Right there. There it is. Oh, and by the way, this would allow you to have sole legal guard, if I'm not mistaken. This is not legal in all states, by the way. But single mothers get a bad rap, right? We condemn the single mothers because statistically speaking, they end up in jail. They end up committing crimes. They end up being disadvantaged. We'll put it delicately. Disenfranchised, disadvantaged, and messed up. Or in the military, we used to call it FUBAR, effed up beyond all repair. In other words, you're out of commission. You are... you get put out in the leftover category, you know, recycled, for lack of a better term, okay? Now, single fathers, on the other hand, they don't have those statistics. Why? Well, because number one, men tend to have more money than women, that's number one. And I don't want to hear about the gender pay gap. That's garbage. There's this new thing called the, I think it was an Equal Pay Act of 1965, I believe it was. So, if you believe... This is not legal advice again, but if you believe there's a gender pay gap, I encourage you to go and sue your boss if you think that you were being cheated, because that would be illegal. Again, this is not legal advice. Do whatever you want to do at your own risk, but just know that if you actually think that to be true, the only way I'm going to believe you is if you actually go and try to obtain the money you believe you deserve by taking them to court. I guarantee you, 99% of you won't do it. Why? Because you know it's garbage, you know it's a lie. So please stop lying to me and to yourself, and we can get back to the story. Now, here we go. The reason why I like surrogacy better, especially for men, the reason I like it is number one, it allows you to control the process more and you don't have to put up with the garbage, the BS, the drama, and everything else. Now, admittedly, again, it's not going to be what you've been programmed to want. You're not going to have a love child. You're not going to have the fantasy that you've seen in every movie, TV show, all that stuff. You know what's funny is I watch old TV shows or even more modern sitcoms, even to this day, and I find stuff that I'm like, how did I miss this? How did I miss this as a kid? How did I not see that the man was being conditioned to say, happy wife, happy life? It was little more than a servant, to put it delicately. He was little more than a servant. He might as well have just been a butler or a pocketbook with short hair. He was literally just there to pay the mortgage, have comic relief for being a dumbass, and to pass away slowly so that he could pass on as much wealth to the woman as possible. That's literally what most men in television are. They're complete schmucks and putzes, and they serve no actual purpose. My father, on the other hand, I believe him to be a great example. Some men are very fortunate out there to have good fathers. The problem is, a lot of people, statistically speaking, they don't have that. Why? Because the single mothers cut them out of it. And let's go back to surrogacy for 1 minute right here. This allows you to cut that out. Now, in my opinion, if you can't afford this, do not have children. Now, I know you're going to say, Austin, how dare you say that to me? You mean to sit here and tell me that I shouldn't have kids? Who are you to say that to me? Well, before you get too riled up, children are not cheap. And the only people who say that are broke. Okay? According to what I know, and I am not a parent, duh, but according to what I do know, you want to give your kids the best, right? Because you're investing in the future as a parent in your kids. And just like anything else in your life, you will get out of it what you put in. And if your children are just in the same way as anything else in your life, why would you send them to public school for free, not do things for them, basically do the bare minimum? Why would you do that? Why would you disenfranchise your people like that? Now, are there exceptions, like the guys who are living in the inner cities who end up going to the NBA or the NFL or the MLB or whatever? Yes. Are they the normal? Absolutely not. No, they're not. And if you want to aim to be that person, I don't know what the hell you're doing with your life, to be honest with you. But again, what is it you want out of your life? Because that's what this all comes down to. I don't believe marriage to be a necessity, but it could be a desire for some people out there, okay? Now, if that's what you want, I want to make sure that that is actually what you want and you're not just defaulting to what you think you should do. I'm gonna save you a whole lot of time if you'll listen to me. You don't have to, but I'm going to give you some advice that I've found for myself. Most people, they don't care what you're doing. They don't care why you're doing it. They don't care how you're doing it. They don't care. So why are you doing things to appeal to them, to make them happy, when they don't care if you're happy or not happy? They don't care one way or the other. So why are you going to live your life about what other people want for you? Why not do what you want? What do you actually want? Do you want marriage? Do you not want marriage? Do you want to be single? Do you want to have a polyamorous relationship? What is it you actually want? I'm asking you, what is it that you want? Because that then will make something necessary or unnecessary. Personally, for me, I don't see a lot of advantages for men being married. Now, if you disagree with that, that is your choice. It doesn't make you wrong. When it comes to your life, it just makes you wrong statistically, but that doesn't make you wrong when it comes to what you want for your life. That is your choice. Now, but you need to understand what you actually want. That's part of untying the knot that is your entire being. You need to understand what you want, and then you need to find a way to get it. That's my advice. Because if you don't, I mean, what are you doing? What are you living life for? What is life if not trying to achieve the things that you've sought out to do before you die? I mean, what's the point? Is the point just to make other people happy, to pay taxes to the government, and then rejoin the fertilizer for the plants? I mean, what's the point? If you're not going to do what the hell you actually want to do, then what's the point? So, my friends, I want this to all come front and center with, you need to decide what you want. Is marriage necessary for men? No. I believe it to be unnecessary for the modern man. Does that mean that you shouldn't do it? No, you can do it whatever you want. That's not my business. You can do what you want. But I want you to know that at the end of the day, you have to do what you want to do, but you have to define what that is first. Once you do that, your life will change, because then you'll have a choice to make. Do I go for what I want, or do I settle for the thing that I don't actually want, that I've been kind of conditioned to want? What is it you want to do? That's the whole point. I want you to answer that question for yourself, and that will save you a lot of time. I don't want you to drift. I want you to have direction. I want you to win. But I can't do it for you. As much as I wish I could, I can't. That is something you must do. I can show you all the negative data in the world, but if you want to get married, you will. I can show you all the positive data for marriage, but if you don't want to do it, you won't do it. You have to decide for yourself what you want. I will be more than happy to help you get there. But you have to want it. You have to want it bad. Friends, stay vigilant, stay informed. Please ask questions, because that is how you find the answers of life. I'm out. Peace.